I want to speak about death. And there are all kinds of deaths. There's death of every moment. There's death every night when you drop off into sleep. There's death when a relationship ends. There's death when a child leaves home. But the death I want to speak about is physical death. The end of the physical life form. That death that is, in our culture at least, usually most avoided, most denied, most covered. And as a result of that avoidance and denial and covering, there is such a huge loss of the gift and the treasure that is in death. So that those words are foreign to most of us. How can there be a gift in death? How can there be a treasure in death? We are so terrified of it and so frightened of being nothing. How can there be anything there? Many of you know that Bhavo, who has been a Bay Area host of satsang for a number of years, died a few days ago. It was such a treasure, such a gift. Being with him in the weeks before he died, I luckily got to speak with him the night before he died the next morning, and then sitting with his body after he was dead, so that the abstraction of the talk of death was not an abstraction. It was present. It was not a theory about death. It was the reality of being in the room with death. Death approaching, clearly approaching. And then death here, taking the life form. And the clear treasure of what remains. Of what is lost and what is given in death. And the enormous benefit of those of us who were willing to be with him in his suffering, physical suffering, and to be with him in his death. And the preciousness of his death, because he knew it was coming. He was not in denial about his death. It doesn't mean he wasn't fighting his disease. He did fight until he heard, we lost the fight. The fight's over. And the next morning he was dead. He let go. So it's not a question of not fighting the disease. It's a question of knowing you're fighting the disease, but death will come when it comes. And having the capacity, as he had, to meet that. And in meeting that, to prove that to all of us who are willing to witness that meeting. So this is absolutely relevant to everyone in this room. I know that I've seen a couple of bodies that weren't fixed up with formaldehyde, or I don't know what they inject. Maybe it's not formaldehyde. Whatever they put in bodies to make them look so good after they die. All pink and rosy. That's one form of death, and you view in the casket, and then you close the casket, and then you throw some dirt on the casket. But this other form of death, where the body goes and nothing is done to the body, it is deathly pale. It is so clear that it is not animated. There's no rouge on the cheeks, no lipstick to make it look like we would like to remember Bhavo. Just the stark, naked fact of death of the form. And in the willingness to be present in that, the absolute, undeniable beauty and presence of what is eternally alive. What does not need plumping up and fixing and rouging for its life. So Bhavo is gone. What we knew of the form of Bhavo is gone. It's now cremated and is in ashes. It's gone. We all will have memories of Bhavo, memories of his sweet personality, of his irritations, the whole realm. But the presence that animated the form is the exact same presence that animates your form, that animates all of form. And to wake up to yourself as that presence is then the willingness to meet death in all form, including what you call your own form. Then it is a joyous meeting. It is a time of loss because we lose the precious form, either our own bodies that are very precious to us, or someone we love, very precious to us. So there's loss. But the joy of the recognition that that animation is the presence of truth. It's the presence of God. And that once again, through the gift of the death form, is proved to be eternal. To be here. I've spent a lot of evenings and days and mornings speaking to people about death and the opportunity that the spiritual path is really a path of death. It's really a path of loss. Many people come to the spiritual world looking for attainment, but the attainment that is achieved, the true spiritual attainment that is achieved through the loss of all, the loss of everything. Luckily for Bhavo, he did not have to wait until disease was taking his body to face that loss. Through some grace or some luck, he was able to investigate that loss earlier, years before the disease finally took the body, so that he could die free, so that he could die at peace, losing something very precious, but gaining more in that loss. I want to invite each of you this evening, now, this moment, to die. The body will die sometime. It's a guarantee of birth. This night, the opportunity to die before the body dies, to recognize the attachment, the love of the body, and to let it die. And in that death, to tell the truth about who you are. This is Ramana's gift. This is exactly what occurred for Ramana as a young teenager. Died before his body died. Lay down and faced death. Lost everything in that moment. Parents, history, future, past, attainment, losses. Lost both attainment and losses. Everything. And in the willingness to truly lose both attainment and loss, the recognition of who one is revealed, was revealed for him, is revealed for you. He had many years after that recognition. Tonight, if you are willing to stop for one moment and die, it is likely you will have at least some moments, some days, some weeks, some years, to see what is life like when I have died. What is my life like when there is no me? What are problems like when they are not my problems? Then you can spend the rest of your life sharing that with all of us. There is such a hunger, a thirst for the nectar that comes from that recognition. So Bhavo in his dying was a gift for us. The truth is, he had been a gift for us much before that, because he had died before that. So that both his living and his dying were ultimately, relatively and absolutely the same gift. So I would like to assist you in any way possible there's no assisting really in your letting go. The assistance is really in discovering what is the mechanism for holding on. What is the thought that supports, I can't right now? Or, yes, but, well, what if? I would like to assist you in stopping that, in being here, dead to who you were and dead to who you will be.
My story includes a diagnosis of cancer. And so this fear of death in the unknown.
Yes.
And I want your help.
What is it that has a diagnosis of cancer?
My body.
That's right. It will die. I don't know if it'll die from cancer, but it will die. That's a fact that has to be faced. And actually, that's the gift of a diagnosis, because most people spend most of their lives ignoring that fact.
Well,
it is a holy fact. It is a divine fact. It is not a mistake.
I chuckled last night when you talked about luck, because it took me a while to figure that out, but I do feel gratitude.
Isn't that amazing?
I do feel gratitude.
Yes, because it really pushes up the ante for going forward.
It does.
Yes. You can't hide under our infantile strategy of denial, or our adolescent strategy of denial. It's like, oh my God, death, the possibility of death, the reality of death, if not from this, from something else.
And I don't want to die. I want to stay here. I like it here.
Where is here? What do you mean when you say here?
Well, I love my life, and I love my family. I have a husband that I adore, and
they're
going to
die too, you know.
And my kids.
They're going to all die. And in fact, each night when you go to sleep, they all die, and you die. Do you love that too? Do you like deep sleep?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I do.
Yeah.
I do. And
no husband there? No kids there? No you there? No you as you think yourself, as you experience. Right?
Right.
Right.
So,
what is there in deep sleep?
Oh, for me, I get a lot of my answers there. Many answers to many of my questions. I take them with me to my sleeping.
And what happens to the questions in deep sleep?
Oh.
I mean the deepest sleep.
They disappear.
Right. Answers too, right? That's the answer. So it's quite wondrous, you know, this experience, this conscious experience of an incarnation, and the realization that death is at the end of this incarnation, just as birth was at the beginning, but that also death is all the way through. And by that death, I mean the death that you experience every night when you are lucky enough to go into deep sleep. And even the death that is experienced during the day, when there's a moment of no question, no answer, no you, no me, no it, no them. That's a death. And the sexual death that everybody worships, the orgasm, that's a death. In that moment, no tension, no body, just presence, just love, just peace. The deep sleep is the peace of peace. The resting in peace that we even speak of on tombstones, you know, rest in peace. So our culture is very weird in lots of ways, but especially regarding death. I just had the great good fortune to be speaking with someone the night before they died. On the telephone. He had just gotten the final say from his doctors that the battle was lost. He had AIDS, and he had fought valiantly. He also loved to live, loved this life, loved his friends, loved his experiences, but he got the message, it's over. Everything that can be done has been done. And by the next morning, he was dead. So I was also had the great good fortune to be with his body. And the emanation of peace and love. I'm not sure if everyone experienced this, but it seemed to me that everyone who was there that day, with his body, his dead body, his ashen, dead body, felt an unknowable, incomprehensible joy of beingness. I didn't wish him death. I loved his body also. But many times when I had spoken to him in situations just like this, it had been about facing the inevitable death of the body. The sure and certain death of your body and everyone else's body. And he had heard. And he had faced that death. And he had found incomprehensible bliss. Not better than the bliss of the experience of incarnation, and not less than that. The great opportunity is to experience that while still alive in a body. And this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity.
I've had glimpses of it.
Yes, you must have.
I have had glimpses
of it. It shows.
I have had
Yes.
glimpses
Well,
of it.
that's
And
it.
I want more. I want more.
So which do you want more?
Well, see, I want more, and I want to stay here.
Yeah.
See, this is.
Yeah,
Well,
I understand that, of course. That's natural. That's natural. But in this moment,
just right now.
are you willing to face the reality that ultimately this body will die? We don't know when. It could be tomorrow.
I am
It could be
willing.
in 10 years. It could be in 50 years. This willingness itself is the openness. Then, yes, you fight the disease as much as you like, but then you aren't fighting death. You know, you're fighting the disease. Death is here always. Death is not the enemy. Death is life, and life is death. They are not separate. Birth and death are separate because they appear in life. Birth and life are the same. Death and life are the same. Birth and death are in the realm of appearances. They are different. To recognize that death is here and to meet it fully as you are meeting it. To not wait for the diagnosis, and if the diagnosis comes, to recognize the diagnosis is my ally in meeting this. It's not the ally of the body, but it's the ally of consciousness. So I'm happy for you to take care of your body. Yes, take care of your body, take care of your children's bodies, your parents' bodies, the body of the planet, and meet death. That's the help.
Thank you.
What's that then that comes up?
Oh, I feel gratitude. I feel extreme gratitude to be here, to have this moment.
Precious moment.
Yeah.
Precious moment, and it's here. And this moment will pass. But what is here in this moment that doesn't pass, this is what can be met when the moment passes, without clinging to the moment, to see what is still here. Then this is the gift of your lifetime to your children, to your husband, to yourself. And everyone who is touched by your children, your husband, and you. Yes. That's the salute.
I feel so blessed.
You are. And to know you are blessed, this is the blessing beyond comprehension. This is the grace. Everyone in this room is blessed. So blessed. Some know it and some don't. Those who know it, this is the blessing of blessings. Those who don't know it can catch it from those who recognize, I am blessed. That's good news. It's another exquisite byproduct of coming together like this.
And gratitude?
Oh, gratitude. And
I
gratitude.
like it there. I like to be there in gratitude.
You're not?
I am. I am.
Yes, you are. You can say, I am blessed. This is gratitude. That doesn't mean that emotions won't come up. Yes, obviously whatever has been held as reality that can be kept, this will come up. Meet it, meet it, meet it, meet it, meet it.
And joy too.
In such joy, you are radiating joy. What's that?
I love you.
I love you too. I love you too.
Thank you.
This cannot die. That's the truth. So, in whatever time you have left, with diagnosis or without diagnosis, don't neglect to say what must be said. To your children, to your parents, to your friends, to your enemies. Say what must be said. Because any body can be struck down at any moment. Bless itself. Yes. Well, that's really that's the issue of protection and not protecting. So the body can be protected, and there's no harm in protecting the body. But if that protection becomes confused with who you are, and you begin to protect who you are, then you discover one day you are closed to who you are. You have protected it out of sight. It's a closed, contracted fist. And then you open it. People used to ask Papaji the same question of how to open, how to surrender. And he would say, it's like having a tissue in your fist. It takes some energy to hold that tissue. And there are all kinds of nerves and bones and muscles and tendons involved. To relax that fist, just like that. Of course, there are some people who walk around not even knowing they're in a fist. But when someone says, hey, you're all balled up in a fist, or they look down and go, my God, I'm in a fist. Oh. And the only thing that keeps it from being that easy, that simple, is the thought, it can't be this easy. It can't be this simple. I've held this fist for so long. Just like that. It's much harder than that. Okay, here you are. The last time we were in satsang, Charlie said, well,
I'm going to be easy.
I don't know if I'll ever see you again, you know. He had a multiplicity of disease and negative diagnosis. And so we were together as if we would never see each other again.
We still are that way.
That's right. Because once you taste the nectar of being together that way, you know the reality is we may never see each other again. So let us be.
The first time.
Yes, the first time.
So it seemed very easy for me to answer that question about what I want. What I want is what I already have. But I knew that some could be glib, so I pushed myself, and what I came to was that I want to continue to be open to whatever comes, to just, I mean, I have AIDS, so there's any number of things that can happen. The cancer is in remission. Tomorrow could be something else. Most likely it will be something somewhere down the road. I want to continue to be with it, to not run away from it, whether that means using drugs or getting off on some mind trip. The only holdout, what I'm not willing to give, is my choice of suicide. That's where I'm still holding. I'm not ready to give that up. I want to continue to have the choice of at some point saying enough. And it's an uncomfortable holding, you know, as I say it, I can let that one go. Yeah, it's so uncomfortable. Do you hear the discomfort of that holding on to that choice of suicide? I mean, if it gets that bad, I'm obviously dying anyway, so it's like... The other possible holding, or let's just say holding from the way I see it, is I have a very, very strong survival instinct. It's been honed over the years. I've inherited, my mother was an Auschwitz survivor, but over the years, I've had AIDS for over 15 years. This kind of survival thing has been honed, and it sometimes takes priority over everything else. And I don't see whether that's a choice away from truth or that's part of truth under the circumstances.
It's part of truth. Mm-hmm. You're speaking of a physical, emotional, primarily physical, cellular survival that is natural to all forms. And in some forms it's much stronger than in others.
Right, because I was thinking also about whether I'd be willing to give up health, and the question didn't make sense to me, because how could it happen that I would be struck with the choice of health or truth? health or no health is all part of truth. I mean, it's kind of, it struck me as an intellectual thing,
That's right.
Are you willing to die for God? Are you willing to give up health? But it's not the way it works, is it?
You can only say
That's
from
like-
knowing how it works.
That's from the Middle Ages, right?
Well, in the willingness to even consider the question, in the willingness to consider, okay, if ill health comes, you've actually had the experience, a direct experience.
That's what I want.
Bad
Willingness.
health
You
has
said
come.
the word willingness.
And in that, truth is untouched. Yes, willingness. That's what you said when you say open.
How could it be touched?
Can't be.
They're just in different realms. It's not even. It's not even apples and oranges. I mean, how could truth be touched by circumstance? It wouldn't be truth. I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about what's unchanging. Right?
Right. That's right. That's it. That's right. That's it. That simple, that clear, that obvious.
The only refuge, really. Thank you, Gangaji.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for sharing this.
I was wondering what you do with, okay, I have a physical pain condition, and I've done a lot of spiritual work, but I can't seem to get around it.
What is the pain situation?
Well, I just have a lot of pain, and it just seems to be what I've come into this life with, And I know that I'm more than the pain,
How do you know that?
I've experienced it.
Well, that's beautiful, isn't it? And you do what you can do to take care of the pain?
Yeah.
And it's just like it won't go away? Then the pain has something to teach you that you have
It's already
not
taught me
No.
stuff.
Yes, I understand it's already taught you, but there is something waiting inside it. I'm not saying the pain will ever go away. I don't know that it will go away. Some bodies have pain throughout their lives, but I know that the suffering around the pain is some resistance to what the pain is offering. And not even that it came to offer that. I'm not speaking in a metaphysical way. It's just, I'm speaking about the possibility of actually meeting the pain, not going around it, going right into it.
Yeah, I've done that sometimes.
And what happens?
It can momentarily bring peace. Yeah.
It brings the peace?
Yeah, but it doesn't go away.
What brings the peace? Yes, but there's peace. So in moments that you have experienced, if I'm understanding you correctly, when you stop resisting the pain, you actually go into the pain, there's peace.
There has been, yeah.
There has
sometimes.
been peace, right.
Yeah.
So the pain doesn't have to go away for there to be the recognition of peace. Is that right? I don't want to feed you
Say
your
it again.
lines. So the pain doesn't have to go away for there to be a recognition of peace.
Yeah, that's true.
So then the question is, what do you want most? And in this case, not in all cases, but in this case, let us say that do you want most for the pain to go away or most for there to be peace? That's a hard question. I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, before you answer,
Okay.
if the pain goes away, what is it you will get?
I don't know.
Well, you must have some idea. If I'm rid of this pain, then I will have.
I can't say peace because I don't know that.
But isn't that what you hope?
Yeah, but it seems like when you get something that you hope you think you want that will make everything right, then as soon as you get it, then there's something else to fill its place.
That's right. That's wisdom that's maturity. But if you will examine that your hopes and your energy of getting rid of this pain has to do with wanting peace to be in the way it is. You want the pain out and peace there.
Mm-hmm.
But you've just told me that in moments in the past where for some reason, through grace or exhaustion or whatever, you stop fighting the pain, you stop trying to get rid of the pain so that you can get whatever will be there when the pain's not there. You just go into the pain, there's peace.
Mm-hmm. The problem is I live in a physical body, you know.
Speaking
I
of
can't
the physical
always
body,
just go into the pain. It's like,
how long does it take? Are you aware of the pain right now?
mm-hmm.
Let's go in it together then.
Okay.
Where is it?
Various parts. Shoulders, neck, head, knees.
Pick one of those spots.
Okay.
But not to get rid of it. This is not an exercise in getting rid of it. There are plenty of exercises to get rid of it, and some work, and they can be learned, and they're useful, and I have nothing against them. But that's not what this is.
Mm-hmm.
This is an exercise in not getting rid of it.
Okay.
Okay? This is an exercise in going into the very core of it.
Okay.
Are you there?
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take?
Not long.
Less than a second. What's there? What's in the core?
Fear.
Fear. So now we have a deeper core. Let us go into that fear, not to get rid of it. This is an exercise in not getting rid of the fear.
Okay.
Just going right into it. What are you experiencing?
Peace.
How long did that take?
Not long.
Not long. So let's go into the peace. Not to keep it. Not to keep it. This is an exercise to see if you can get rid of it by going into it.
I don't want to get rid of it.
Yes, I understand. Just like you didn't want to go into the fear or into the pain. So this is like counterintuitive. It's counter what we have learned as organisms, usefully learned, to avoid pain, to avoid fear, to listen to fear, because that's been part of the survival mechanism. But in our meeting tonight, we are more concerned with what's eternally true than we are with particular survival. So when you go into this peace, not to keep it, just to meet it. What's your experience?
I went into my head.
But you know the difference, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
That's excellent. That's all that's required. That's called discriminating wisdom. That means you can tell the truth, and you just told the truth. So you attended to your thoughts. But did the peace go anywhere when you attended to your thoughts? Now you can check that out. Because really the whole point of this is, does the peace come and go? When thoughts come and go, I recognize that experience of the peace may come and go. But I'm speaking of, does peace itself come and go? Experiences by their nature come and go.
Yeah, I see that distinction.
I'm not a pain doctor, but I am a suffering doctor. And I know that the medicine for suffering is to turn and go into the pain. As long as there is a resistance and a running in the mind, running from the pain, there's suffering. And this suffering has a past and it has a projected future. But in the willingness to stop and inquire, either who is suffering or what is in this pain, the mind loses past and future. And what is real and true is revealed. So we have the experience of many different kinds of bodies, and some bodies are extraordinarily healthy and have very little pain. And some bodies are extraordinarily sensitive and have quite a bit of pain. Physical pain, emotional pain, circumstantial pain. And this is across the board. Rich, poor, all races, all tribes, all nations. That's just the variety of life. The activity of mind in either trying to keep a particular type body or get a particular type body is suffering. In this body that you have thought you are, in the core of this body, whatever type of body it is, a sensitive, painful body or a healthy, painless body, doesn't matter. In the core, there is the space that is peace. And if you stop thinking about how to get out of the body that may be painful, or how to keep the body that's pain-free, you get to experience the truth. So that's self-inquiry using pain.
Thank you.
I thank you.
My beautiful daughter Rachel was recently killed in a car accident. And I actually haven't cried much until I saw you. You walk in the room and I cry every time.
Good, there must be a lot of tears over this.
This morning when I sat here crying, I kept wiping away the tears, wishing I had a Kleenex. And then at some point I just let go and let them flow. And I recognized in there my own significance, like streaming down my face and dripping away. And I was happy to give it up. I've had a lot of stories about Rachel's death. And I remembered you saying not to identify with the thoughts and feelings in the stories, that they're not who I am. So each time that I see a story and I choose to give it up, in that moment the suffering stops. And I had another story that I wasn't crying because there was no suffering. And of course there's lots of stories still. But I think the reason I really haven't been crying is I had the story that I was too busy to cry. And as a result of Rachel's death, I'm now raising my granddaughter who has cerebral palsy and lots of medical problems, and so I've had lots of justification for being busy, lots of things to do. But I kept hearing you say, tell the truth. And I realized that when I tell the truth, I'm busy in order to avoid being with the fact that Rachel's gone. And I choose to be with that. She's not here with me right now, and I miss her, and everything reminds me of her. But I just want to be with that.
That's the place to be.
And I think partly one of the things that I've done to avoid being with that, this busyness and everything, has to do with a fear that if I be with that, if I let the emotion be there, that I'll lose control.
Yes.
And how can I take care of Eden? How can I do what needs to be done if I lose control? And I guess I kept thinking, well, I'll be at retreat soon, and then I can lose control. And now I'm here, and I realize that all the busyness that I have used my whole entire life to avoid being with isn't control.
That's right. That's the imitation of control.
And I don't want to be in control.
Then
give
you
it up.
don't need an imitation. This is very good.
And so I cry, and it's wonderful.
Yes, it's beautiful to grieve for a lost child.
And also what came up for me today, sitting here this morning in the meeting, is just what's there is gratefulness. I'm just so grateful for Rachel. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. Is, was, will always be. And I'm grateful for the 23 years that I had the honor of being her mother and knowing her on the level that I knew her.
Very lucky.
And I think that sometimes at first one of my stories was that my granddaughter would never recover from this. She's 3 years old and she's full of joy. And she knows her mother's not here, but she talks to her all the time. And I think she feels Rachel's presence so strongly. She feels her love. She loves her. And I've sort of envied that. Like, I want to feel like that. I want to feel like she's still here. And no, because she is, I suppose. No, she's still here. And I think that longing that's there, that longing is the same longing that's always there for everybody all the time.
That's right.
The longing for self. In the moments that I have a glimpse of self, I am connected with Rachel and I'm with Rachel.
It's the same, yes. So this longing is your ally. It's not to be pushed aside with busyness. It's to be surrendered to. Fall into the longing. Let the longing have you.
The longing feels like the truth.
It is the truth. Well, I don't even want to say path because it's closer. It's the song of truth calling itself. And we have been afraid of it because, yes, you lose control. You lose all illusion of control when you fall into that song.
What a relief.
That's right.
I don't have to be busy anymore.
That's right. What good news for your grandchild, too. How you can participate with her now. the deepest way.
One of my stories that I recognized this morning was that I had a story that I wasn't adequate to raise this child, and that I had to work really hard and stay really busy. And then I realized how silly that is. All that's required is love and being with her.
That's right.
And that story had kept me from being with her.
This is very clear. Very clear.
And this is only the first day. I can't wait to see what else is going to happen. I saw you in satsang last week, and I realized in satsang that I had this expectation that you would take this pain away.
Oh, no. No. If I'm doing my job, I'm amplifying the pain so that it is inescapable, because it is the pain itself that reveals the truth. All of our lives have been spent in attempts to control the pain or avoid the pain or be saved from the pain. No, the pain, meeting the pain, stopping avoiding it, being willing to experience it, this is the same as Ramana meeting death. Exact same, only your version of it, your arrangement of it.
A friend of mine told me that if you just let go and let your heart break, then the real you comes through.
That's a good friend. We are so scared of letting our hearts break. And yet each time the heart breaks, that crack is revealed. And you let your heart break over and over and over, and then the crack is just space of yourself. Yes, most people join the spiritual search to get rid of the pain. That's legitimate, because that's what we think will give us happiness. But if you have traveled far enough along the spiritual search, then you see you just substitute one pain for another. Or you gloss over the pain, or you get very expert at getting rigid and numb around the pain. The pain must be met. When it is met, then you know. Until it is met, then it's just knowledge, just words remembered, some insights, correcting other people and their mistakes. But when you meet the pain, the longing, yourself.
I realized when you were reading Russ's letter that what has occurred is that when I ask, I get the answer. When I stop trying to find the answer and just ask.
That's right. This is true questioning. Not questioning with an answer that you want it to be. True questioning. Then you're just open, and the answer is right there. That's right, that's satsang. Deeper and deeper.
Thank you for this opportunity to be in this space.
I'm very happy you're here. I'm very happy you bring your grief for Rachel here. There are so many unexperienced griefs in the closed heart, but the broken heart, they are set free. So what a teaching your presence is here. Yes. There's some notion of detachment, from the Buddha's teaching that gets incorporated into the mind as a way of release from the pain. It's, I got it. Detachment is the way to be. And so there's a numbing or a distancing So one doesn't have to experience the pains of life, the pains of love, the pains of the heart breaking open. And then there's a deeper and deeper closing in the name of comfort, in the name of enlightenment, in the name of control, whatever it may be. So you give up this idea of detachment and be willing to experience your attachment and the pain of that attachment and the beauty of that attachment and the grief as that attachment is ripped away from you. And then you recognize what can never be detached, what is not some stoic, unfeeling, unemotional, unhuman existence, but what is freely, all of it, consciously, all of it.
My question is really not different from his.
That's right, it can't be. It's always the same question. And it was so wise of you to recognize that. It's always the same question, just different facet or different quality or different flavor, maybe even the same
my
flavor.
illusion is a little bit better. It's cancer, and I'm facing possibly just having maybe a couple of months to live.
Oh, you look very much alive.
Thank you.
So I don't know
Could I
about the
hold your
body.
hand?
I don't know about the body, but the life that is pouring
The
out of
body
your
is
eye.
really
I'm going to just do this so everybody can see.
okay. I'll do it myself.
Okay. Ah, yes, you see? Please, just look out there.
Well, I feel alive, but my body feels like it's dying.
Yes, the body is dying, and whether it dies in a couple of months or in a couple of decades, it's dying. The body has a limited time. But you feel very much alive. How is that possible?
I have no clue.
Something knows. There is something
sure
that
something
understands
knows,
that
yes.
within you.
But it's a lot of time covered with fear.
Yes, but right now,
Right now I'm just a bit shaky with all those people.
well, look at them. You get less shaky if you face them. You will see what they see.
Somebody's waving.
You will see what they see. You will see bodies that are dying. Most of them are on the dying side. Some are still on the growing side. And who knows, some body in here may be gone tomorrow. In a month, 2 months, a decade. Who knows? This is the nature of this phenomenal existence of bodies arising and bodies dying. But you know something deeper than that. That's what I see in your eyes. Because I have talked to people who have fatal diseases, who recognize that their bodies are dying soon. And some have this look and some don't. And the ones who have this look have discovered something so precious, so deep. This is what I want you to consciously speak about.
Well, one thing that's I've been aware of since the cancer is how many people pour love on me. And sometimes it alleviates the pain, sometimes it doesn't. But most of the time it makes me feel like worthy.
Worthy. So you are accepting the love. This is the welcoming. So in the love that is poured on you, somehow...
Like the love that poured on me brought me here in many shapes and forms, in the form of an airline ticket to come here, a ride to bring me here, and now the chance to really hold your hand, which I wanted to.
And love is pouring out of your eyes. So somehow you have discovered love.
I've experienced it, yes.
Yes, you have experienced love. This is the exact same as I have experienced truth. I have discovered truth. In experiencing love, true love, you have experienced yourself. You know your body, but this love is closer than your body, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
Yes, it's there when
The
the
body is the scary part,
Yes, the bodies are scary. That's where scary is.
where no control,
Yes.
nothing.
Yes. But the love?
The love, yeah, that I feel is also not controlled, but it doesn't need control.
There you go. There you go. You see?
I sort of understood what he meant, but I related more to the other person on the letter. I can't love the cancer yet. I'm still too scared of it.
Just love the love.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty easy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
But
That-
that cancer shit is just so...
Don't worry about it. I mean, you're free to hate cancer. It's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. I thought from this letter I'm supposed to be learning to love it.
We always think we're supposed to be something from something we have heard because we are so trained to think, oh my God, I'm not experiencing that. Well, I should be. And in that we overlook what is being experienced. And in this case, it's a tragic overlooking because what is being experienced is love.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I was afraid to hate it.
Yes, because we have been
I
taught
know
that
it's
hating
easy
is
for you to
bad.
love. I mean, it's easy for you guys to laugh, but it's really true. I was afraid.
No, it's not. They have the same issues. It's the same. It's not right to hate. And so we make hating wrong. So then we are so fixated on what we hate that we overlook the love. If you are experiencing hate, hate. Then you don't have to take action. Then you don't have to suppress it and deny it. Then you don't have to suffer with your hate. You just allow hate. And hate is no big deal then. Then you can see love.
That's the best thing to hear, you know.
It's the truth. We hate, like suffering, we have made the enemy. And so we have said, the enemy, hate, has to be kicked out. And since you know that, well, you sure don't want anybody to see that there's some hate in you because then they might kick you out. Or if you see, oh my God, there's some
not
hate
acceptable.
arising, then I must be horrible and not worthy and no good and I should learn. Forget that. That's all part of the conditioning.
Oh, thank you.
Recognize what is closer, deeper, more profound, more true than the hate. That's all. It will take care of the hate in its own time. Then the hate is welcome to satsang. Then the hate is welcome to love. It's not isolated. It's not sent off to a death camp. It's not blasted out of existence, so it never shows its face again. It's welcomed to the love. Love knows quite well what to do with hate rather than the mind in its dichotomy of hate versus love knows to do.
Wow.
Wow, that's right.
I feel okay now with dying.
You look more than okay. More than okay. There's this,
What is more than okay?
this that has never been spoken. I mean, love is a very small word for it, but it is pouring out of your eyes. Your life is being well used.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
There are fears that get generated when one really, really even considers giving up the story, stopping the story. It's like, oh my God, who am I without my story? Well, you are nobody. That's right. And that's what's feared. If I'm nobody, then that will mean I don't exist. And you already don't exist as you think you do. But you do exist. That's undeniable. You exist. You think you exist as you think yourself to exist. That's not so. You don't exist that way, except in your fantasy. And fantasy cannot really give you what you hunger for. Only truth can give that. Because truth is hungering for itself. So the fear is, I will not exist. I understand that fear. And I can say, and many have said and will say, you are all existence. It's impossible for you not to exist. But this fear must be met to know that for yourself. So that it's not just somebody else saying it, somebody else encouraging you. This somebody else is not asking you to believe that, but to really meet that fear, to dive into the unknowableness of the possibility of you not existing. This is how Ramana awakened. He had a fear of death as a 16-year-old, a fear of death. As fear of death arises, when we contemplate death, there's fear. I will not exist. And usually then we turn from that, or deny that, or flaunt that. But to actually investigate that, who or what is it that will not exist? The body certainly will not exist at some point. The mind also will not exist at some point. The accumulation of experiences, the memories, the way things have been woven together to create an apparent continuum, just unravel, just as the body will unravel. Finished. And who are you? Are you the body? I know the body is infused with you, obviously. So I'm not saying you're separate from the body. Who are you? So Gangaji can say you are radiant consciousness. Someone else can say you are the light, the truth, God, beauty. But you must recognize yourself for this to be fulfillment. Otherwise, it's just another trip added to your story. And that recognition, yes, that evokes fear. That's right. Because this is not casual. This is not just some other experience. This is the recognition that at some point all experiences stop. Death. And actually inviting the meeting of that now. So that if by some chance this body were to die right now, okay, I show up for that. I stop trying to escape that in worldly fantasy or spiritual fantasy. This is possible. This is Ramana's gift. And the ease of it is in recognizing the energy and attention and effort that it takes to avoid this meeting. And the practice, the worship, the work it takes to construct the image, the thought of who you are, to change it, to rework it, to love it, to hate it. The time, the energy that can be freed in an instant. And when it is freed, it is used mysteriously, whether it's publicly, privately, secretly, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's naturally used because it's energy that's released from the circling, twisted, fixated thought. I am somebody other than you. That's the illusion.